Good morning. I'm Jocelyn, pelvic floor physical therapist, owner of the Vagina Doc Physical Therapy and Wellness, and welcome to my bathroom. Today's training is on physical therapy considerations for pooping. Or another way of saying that is I'm going to teach you how to poop better from a musculoskeletal or neuromuscular standpoint. There's a lot of things that go into your ability to poop. One being how's your GI function, how hydrated you are, how much fiber you're intaking, both on a soluble and insoluble fiber standpoint. If you have other autoimmune conditions or just a slower GI system. So I'm going to focus on the mechanics of pooping. I'm not going to spend too much time getting into the rectoanal angle. I'm just going to give you the actionable steps you need to take. For that, let me just give you a really quick overview of what should happen when you're pooping if you need an assist. So you have an urge to poop and you have the opportunity to poop. And the urge you can get an urge from a reflex called the sampling reflex. And there's many different types of reflexes, one being sampling. So in the morning, you eat something and your sigmoid colon allows a little bit of stool into the rectum, and you have sensory fibers that say, is it solid, liquid, or gas? And it tells you, okay, is it appropriate time to poop? If it is, it goes on to the next step, and you are like, oh, I gotta poop. I'm gonna go poop. Or if it's not, meaning you don't have access to a toilet, and it's just not enough contents, it sends it back into the large intestine. So you don't really store a ton of stool in your rectum. It sends it back. And if you repeatedly do that, so that let's say you just keep holding your poop, you're a chronic poop holder, and your large intestine walls get stretched, your body adapts, so it becomes less sensitive to the amount of stool. So it might take a longer time for you to sense, because of the walls need to be stretched more, so you have to poop, and it's above like that range where people typically should be emptying their bowels. So let's say you decide to go to the bathroom and you sit down, and what ideally happens is you just sit there and you have some muscles that relax and so that you can evacuate your bowels. Let's talk about those muscles for a minute. You have these muscles here called the external anal sphincter muscles, and then just inside of those, you have the internal anal sphincter muscles. They're both circular muscles that keep the anus closed, so you're not always having to squeeze your butthole to prevent gas or stool or anything coming out. We have control over the external fibers, the external anal sphincter, or the EAS. We don't have voluntary control of the internal anal sphincter. These muscles, in addition to the rectal walls, have sensation capacity. And when there's injury, like a tear, grade 4, 3rd degree, or 4th degree tear, that can impact your sensory function of this, which can ultimately impact your reflexes. So it's either some people have no change, no problem. Other people have more urgency with less amount of stool in their system, and others have meaning they have to go to the bathroom with a little amount of stool, and then they keep going and going, so they're going several times in a short amount of time. Then you have people that have less sensation, so they have more stool before they even have an idea that they have to go, or they pass gas without even knowing. Now, when you go to have a bowel movement, the rectal walls communicate with the external and internal anal sphincter, and what happens is they both should be relaxing as you are pooping. But if there's something called, there's a coordination impairment called defecation dyssynergia. So don't worry about the name, but basically this could be contracting. These muscles, one or the other, could be actually contracting and making it, instead of relaxing, so it's trying to, as your rectal walls, that's called peristalsis, they're contracting, the smooth muscle, which you don't have control over, they're pushing it out, and these are contracting. It's like closing or pushing against a closed door. Now, let's say you have scar tissue there, scar tissue in the external anal sphincter. That can impact the muscle function as well from that tear. So it's really important that you get that addressed by not only GI, someone in GI, but also someone like me, like a pelvic floor physical therapist. Now, let's say that doesn't happen. You have an urge and you can't poop. And let's say you're really not constipated, or your muscles may just need trained. Well, as you poop and you push, like let's say you add a push, you sit there, you deep breathe, you prop your feet up, you're in a good position, and it's time to add a little bit. Well, when you push, I want you to think with your butt, you need to push in such a way that your abdominals elongate and not shorten. Because when your abdominals shorten, you guys, your pelvic floor tightens. It shortens. And your pelvic floor is part of that whole system. That the EAS, the IAS is part of the pelvic floor. We do not want the pelvic floor to shorten or contract. So instead, what we do is we push, and as we push, our belly comes out. So this is contrary to what I've trained with exercise. It's like, don't push your belly out. Just focus on the breathing. Well, now this is different. Confusing, right? You are breathing out and making your belly big. So that is the ideal way to push. Now, hold that thought for a minute. Let's talk about the setup. So if you're sitting on the toilet, you want your thighs above parallel, ideally, because if they're lower like this, your rectum can be kinked off. So it's like trying to squirt a hose with a hose kinked. We want it to be straight. So by getting in this hip position, it allows this angle of the rectum to relax, okay, because of the anatomy. That's the purpose of here. Now you can be sitting back like this, relaxing, depending on your toilet, or you could be like this. But notice my back is relatively neutral or straight, and my hips are up. And I'm in that early period, I'm just gonna deep breathe, but then that doesn't work, so I need to add a little bit. So I'm gonna relax my belly at first, and then I'm gonna take a deep breath in. So I'm gonna expand my diaphragm, ribs go out, ribs go back, my shoulders stay relaxed, they don't raise, my belly gets big when I take this breath. And then I'm gonna push, and my belly's gonna go out. Now my pants are blocking it, but my belly is coming out, and I'm pushing. So that is kind of challenging coordination for a lot of people at first, especially after learning all the other stuff I taught you. So in this case, again, you're gonna take a deep breath. You're pushing your belly out. Sometimes the regular exhalation doesn't work. Sometimes you need to make other noises like, or other noises. You have to make other noises, but you've got to let the air out as your belly pushes. This is your abdominals lengthen, lengthening, and your pelvic floor lengthens with your abdominals. This helps just get the ball started and tries essentially to not allow the EAS to tighten in. One thing you can practice just on your own outside of this is putting your hands like on your here and feeling your pelvic floor drop, or maybe sitting on a towel, like a towel roll between your legs, and working on that motion. This was really hard for me before. Now after practice I got it down, but it didn't come natural by any means. Other things just to keep in mind, like if your tailbone's stiff, what happens when you do this motion is your tailbone, this is the normal like curled part, so you can see it curls in. This action extends it. So instead of being like this, it goes like this. So if you have a too mobile tailbone, this might be irritating to the muscles so that they react and they guard, and then they tighten. So you need to see a physio or a physical therapist for that, or someone else that knows how to treat tailbone, stabilize the tailbone. That could be through the pelvic floor, the glutes, both together. There's a lot of things that go into that. The other thing is, if it's too stiff, you broke it several years ago and it needs to be mobilized, or it's stiff because of guarding with the muscle tissues because they're overactive or whatever reason, that needs to be addressed because you might not be getting this lengthening, and we need to promote relaxation. My approach to that is always working on your breathing and mindfulness and learning how to coordinate these different motions. That is how I approach quote unquote down training, you guys. That's step one. So that is just a basic training. I think I gave you a lot of good stuff on that for pooping. Don't be pushing for 20 minutes. Let's say 5 minutes later, you got to get your butt up and go exercise, because pooping, constipation, all of that stuff it's a multimodal approach. We have to get you moving, go for a walk, go exercise, drinking water, diet, working with all of those pieces in addition to your musculoskeletal and neuromuscular function. When I say musculoskeletal, I was talking about the muscle length, the flexibility, the stability. When I'm talking about neuromuscular, I'm talking about the coordination of those muscles. They shouldn't be contracting when your rectum is trying to push stool out. So I hope this was helpful. Again, if you want to schedule with me, I didn't mention this before, I'm doing virtual consults for free, initial consults, 20 minutes, and then follow-ups, virtuals for now, the COVID special, $100 for an hour with me. I'm doing a thing with Explore Your Pelvic Floor that has a mini training and then a coaching session with me. I'm offering rehab sessions remotely for Arizona residents, also rehab sessions or coaching sessions online for out of state, consulting sessions for out of state. I'm going to be launching a postpartum recovery program that you can get on the wait list for. Comment below or send me a message, send me a text, 480-980-0367, or fill out a form on my website, www.thevaginapt.com. Send me an email, jocelynconleypt@gmail.com. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.